Happy holidays to all our readers. Astronomy as an academic discipline has grown immensely this past year. What about astronomy as a community? As astrophysicists, we focus on fundamental questions pertaining to the universe, but it is important to be cognizant of the diverse community and its people that work hard to answer those questions. This crucial emphasis on discussing issues affecting our astronomers is why Meredith Rawls, a former astroboter, says in her blog post here, to successfully land a rover on Mars, we have to invest in the livelihoods of the people who plan and build each part of that mission. To discover new things about the composition of asteroids, we must also examine the composition of our scientific collaborations. Inclusive Astronomy, 2015 Drive. Rawls was one of the attendees at the inaugural Inclusive Astronomy, a meeting of astronomers, policymakers, sociologists and who identify as working in more than one of these fields in 2015 in Nashville, Tennessee. This meeting was convened to highlight issues affecting astrophysicists who identify as LGBTQIA, people with disabilities, people of color, and people who consider themselves as underrepresented minorities through other axes. To fight racism, ism, transphobia, ableism and other structural modes of disenfranchisement, this meeting brought together allies and encouraged discussions on the topic of intersectionality, for many of us fall along multiple axes and under many labels, and some or all of those axes that form our identities may make us vulnerable to discrimination. Inclusive astronomy was about recognizing issues that the astronomy community faces from structures of oppression and discrimination, as well as offering robust solutions. To make astronomy more inclusive, this group of amazing people chartered a living document, known as the Nashville Recommendations. These recommendations include not only a vision of the field in the future, as well as active steps that physics and astronomy departments all across the USA and the world need to take in order to improve the working conditions of disenfranchised astrophysicists. The recommendations. The four broad areas that the recommendations, a 40-page document so far touched upon are as follows, as quoted from the Vision Statement for Inclusive Astronomy endorsed by AAS. 1. Removing barriers to educational access, e.g. the use of graduate record exam GRE scores in admissions decisions, financial barriers to graduate school applications, stereotype threat, and accessibility problems that impede the ability of all students to directly participate in learning environments. Point 2. Creating inclusive climates to improve and maintain diversity, e.g. by eliminating microaggressions, honoring diversity without tokenization, using effective and accessible teaching methods, and effectively mentoring members of historically underrepresented groups. Point 3. Improving inclusion and access to power, policy, and leadership, e.g. by employing strategies on how to play a role in decisions affecting the astronomical community and learning how people in power can be more inclusive in their decision-making. Point 4. Establishing a community of inclusive practice, e.g. using active rather than passive measures to ensure that astronomers' groups, events, and institutions are inclusive. Let us get to work. Do you identify as a physicist, astrophysicist, and study work at a university? Ask your administrators about the steps that your department are actively taking to implement these recommendations. Does your department have a diversity committee, or an equity, diversity and inclusion coordinator? If yes, ask them what you can do to be a good ally and/or contribute to the labor in the community. If not, start one. Let us ensure that we push for efforts that make astronomy a diverse and inclusive community globally. List of resources. This is a list of documents and posts for you to read over the holidays, and which inspired this bite-featured image taken by Don Pickett Vanderbilt at the meeting.